Okay. Well, welcome everybody to our spring plenary meeting. We're glad to have you here. I want to especially thank Elizabeth Hale, who is hiding behind the Bethesda Metro Village logo on the screen, who put our speakers program together today. I know she contacted some very good people, and we're going to look forward to that. Also, I want to introduce you to another person who is part of WAVE now, Kim Masseri. Kim, would you wave your hand somewhere up there? Kim is our new operations manager, and you are going to see and hear and feel her contributions going forward in many ways, some of which I'll mention in a little while. Okay, so let me go on then. So here's our agenda. It's a really rich, full program. We're going to first start with some updates and tell you what you can look forward to. Then we'll move on to our Founders Awards, which we're very pleased to be recognizing these villages today. Our plenary panel on using the arts to combat isolation and improve health. We haven't ever touched on this subject before. And again, thanks to Elizabeth for putting this program together. I think you'll enjoy it. We have scheduled breakout sessions, one to be a follow-up, with Q&A on villages and the arts from our plenary. And we have one available on what we call, sharing problems and solutions or problems of the day. Because in our past experience, there's many of you who come to this meeting today in the morning on May 15th, with something that's bothering you or an issue that's going on in your village. And very often it's helpful to have just a facilitated breakout session with no program whatsoever, but facilitated, and it would be by Wendy Zinker of Arlington Neighborhood Village, who's very experienced. And if you've got something that you'd like an answer to, or you just want to share with someone, then you would want to go to that breakout session. However, I want you to think about it. And when we get to the end of the panel and it would be time for the breakout sessions, if in fact everyone would rather just have extended Q&A on villages and the arts, then we'll just stay in plenary mode at that point. So it'll be up to you, and I'll ask you again. Okay, so I don't think there's anyone on the phone who doesn't know us. We've been around almost 25 years and grown from a very small area. And we're even now developing connections to Pennsylvania, thanks to Kim, and also to someone who used to be in Little Falls Village, but is up in Erie, and he is thinking about trying to create a village up there. So we are extending our reach. I want to talk to you a little bit about membership. We hope you'll all join WAVE if you haven't yet. Dues are just $35, and we do have subsidies both for any startup or for others who may have a need. You're entitled to one-on-one mentoring. You get to apply for the Founders Award, which you'll hear about shortly, and our Finishing Strong Award, which I'll mention at the end. And we have some communications materials available that I'm going to show you later that we're happy to share with people. And you can post your open events on our shared calendar. We've had hundreds of events on that calendar, and it's a very popular service. I want to tell you also about our mentoring program. We offer one-on-one coaching and guidance. We want to help our members at whatever stage they're at and whatever issues they're facing. This is just some of the types of things that we've helped with. I can tell you that applying is very easy. You go to the website under resources and apply for. You can apply as a startup village, or you can apply as an existing village. And if WAVE itself doesn't have mentors available who can answer your questions, we have a partnership with the National B2B Network, and they will find mentors for you. Some of you know, I think, maybe all of you at this point, that we have a wonderful grant from the state of Maryland. I don't know if Chelsea Wheeler is here, but if she's on the line, she is the Department of Aging's manager for the community, for the supportive communities grant program there, and we thank her very much. So we are promoting and supporting villages across Maryland. We've got, educational programs that some of you have participated in already. We've got our networking opportunities at our annual meeting. And as I've mentioned already, we can help support marketing communications for villages. And I think one thing that would be very important is, promoting collaborations between villages and area agencies on aging and counties and nonprofits. We've had some programs that showcase successful partnerships from the perspective of each side. Programs just for villages to tell them about these other opportunities, and programs for counties and AAAs to show them the opportunities for collaborating with villages. That program for counties and AAAs is coming up next week. And some of you may know that increasingly, as funding becomes available, especially at the state level, a lot of an increasing amount of funding for villages is explicitly promoting collaborations with AAAs. So this is something that is of importance both to villages themselves as they look for ways to extend their resources, and to the AAAs who really want to reach down into counties. Also, one thing that may prove to be, I think, very important is we're doing a feasibility study on data collection in partnership with the National Village to Village Network. I think all of you know that it's important for us to be able to show what villages are doing and demonstrate their value in the community. But data collection is both difficult technically and onerous for small villages. So we'll be doing a report on good opportunities to do that. Now I have two slides to show you. I talked about the communications resources that we have. And this slide and the next show some flyers, templates that are available that we are happy to share. The first one, as you can see, if you are a new village and you want to reach out in your community and get some and recruit both, members, or recruit your initial leadership, recruit business partners or other community partners, you are free to have this template. There's space, as you can see, for your logo, your name and email, partner logo if you have one, and talented Kim would be able to slightly tweak these if necessary. And we'll talk later about how you can get these. And then the next one is is a sample of what we did for Maryland villages as part of the grant. You can see that again, you want to reach out, you want to tell people what you're doing, you want to get support for your village. Well, this is a flyer that we would be happy to make available to you. And Kim is looking for other state logos and state graphics to put in there, so it could be customized to other jurisdictions. So we also have can subsidize 1-year memberships for Maryland villages only to the Village to Village Network and Maryland nonprofits. Most of you probably know that V2V has a rich body of resources and monthly topical discussions. For example, they have one on supporting vulnerable members, and they are going to have a virtual 2-day conference coming up in September. And Maryland nonprofits is very helpful because they can give support to startups, including help with getting bylaws completed and 501c3 status through the bureaucracy. And it has a development center with free resources and training and consulting. So again, for Maryland villages, we are able to offer you a 1-year membership to either of those, and you can contact me, president@wavevillages.org. So what is coming this year? Well, next Wednesday, we have a grant writing workshop. This is 6:30 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. For some of you, that's a blessing because you have other things to do during the day. For others, it may seem a little bit late, but we have a very experienced man who gave this workshop to Rockville area villages, and it was much appreciated. And he will be leading it. And this will be a special interest to Maryland villages but to others as well. The Maryland villages will benefit because he's going to use an open grant announcement from Maryland as the example of how to tackle an RFP and to write a good responsive grant. So again, that's next Wednesday, 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. And you can register on our homepage, look for the list of events right in the middle, and just click on it, and it'll take you to the registration page, and you do not need to log in to register. We are planning also workshops on basic accounting and a special workshop looking at volunteer issues, and we'll be scheduling those later. We're going to have presentations by the Founders Award winners and runners-up that I'll be talking about in a little while, and I think you'll see how important and exemplary their activities were. And you can learn about how they did it and what they ran into and what problems they solved and how you might try to replicate that. Also, some of you know that we have offered at the beginning of this year, we gave awards to winners of our Finishing Strong Award. This Finishing Strong Award is to encourage conversations and discussions about end-of-life issues, and also to expand the long-term impact of area villages and to create programs that other villages across the nation could emulate. And it offers an up to $5,000 award, and applications will open in September. So watch for that. And then we have our in-person conference. And if I do say so, we got rather rave reviews, even for the venue, which is often not the case. And this will be October 15th in the Silver Spring Civic Center. And Wendy Zinker is our conference chair for that. And she welcomes suggestions for the program. I think she's putting her information there. Wendy wave, thank you, Wendy. And she has her information in the chat. We're not going to do a formal, call for papers. I don't think, but we will be reaching out and encouraging you to suggest programs for that conference and details to follow. Okay, and then, so I've talked about what WAVE can do for you. Now I'm going to talk about what you can do for WAVE. WAVE really exists to help you. We help villages. There is nothing to help WAVE itself. We're here to help, and we need you. Mentoring is always, very much appreciated. It's not onerous at all. It's not a heavy burden that continues on over time. It's often just, one in-depth session with maybe a little bit of follow-up. So I encourage you to sign up to be a mentor. It's really very, very rewarding and gratifying. Again, we'd love you to participate in our programming. Let us know what you're interested in, certainly for the conference coming up, but for any other Zoom sessions that you might like. We love help doing our communications, working on our conference, working on our website, and you don't need to be a board member. Again, none of these are heavy burdens, but I am very sure that some of you out there have real skills in these areas and might enjoy jumping in on some of these things. So we hope you will do that. Okay, now to the meat of our program. We look on our awards programs, both the Finishing Strong and the Founders Awards, as a real chance to shine a spotlight on great village programs and services. In addition to money, winners get media attention, an icon for their website, and a chance to share their program with the wider audience. And the Founders Award recognizes villages for programs or services that are outstanding examples of villages' contributions and reflect the founders' values. I'm going to ask if we have Virginia Hodgkinson on the phone and whether she is able to open up her phone. Virginia Hodgkinson was a co-founder of Mount Vernon at Home way back in 2006. And she joined with Andy Mollison, who is deceased, who created the Palisades Village, and Miriam Kelty, who is also deceased, who created the Bannockburn village in Maryland in 2009. And together, the three of them started bringing people together informally in about 2010. And we were incorporated in 2012. Virginia, can anyone see? I can't see if Virginia is on. She was only able to join by phone, so she may be having trouble. But I would like us all to appreciate Virginia and her foresight in founding Wave. So thank you very much, Virginia. Well, if we had a red carpet, I would now unroll it and you would hear the trumpets or the percussion or whatever it is, because
Hello?
Is that you, Virginia?
Hello?
Yes, is that you,
Yes.
Virginia? Hi, would you like?
Yes.
I'm so glad you can say you could join us. Did you want to say a few words?
Yes, I just want to say how pleased I am with the wonderful development of WAVE over the years. Andy and I'm the last person standing, so to speak, of the three founders. But our goal really was that the Northern Virginia communities would come together, we would share our experiences, we would help one another through different and combined skills, and that eventually we could become a force for policy, whether at the state level or the federal level. And I think you have done that, Wave. You just wonderful. We have offices in Fairfax now. We have obviously a very active state level support in Maryland, and DC, of course, was among the first, but they get their money automatically from more sources than we do. We have to work at the county and the state level. So I wanted to congratulate you all, and I'm a great supporter of the Founders Awards as examples of what villages can do to improve the quality of life of us young seniors who bring some wisdom and enthusiasm to our retirements to serve communities as well as to enjoy our retirements. So it's a great pleasure, and I want to congratulate all of you.
Thank you very much, Virginia. And Virginia generously, totally funded the first year's awards and has continued to support them along with the WAVE board since then. So she kickstarted the award as much as she kickstarted WAVE itself. So thank you, Virginia. Okay, so here you see the winner of our Founders Award this year. It is a low-link village, which stands for Lake of the Woods, living independently in our communities. And they initiated a regional transportation partnership that they will be telling you about. And the judges just felt that this was a very well documented, an excellent program. And we are very pleased to offer them a $1,000 award. So Jean Como, are you on and able to speak to this? And do you have some slides for us?
I'm here, and yes, I have some slides. So let's see if I can share my screen.
I think I may have to stop sharing. Let me see. How do I stop sharing? Hold on. Only one, no, it's not giving me the ability to not share my screen. Oh, hold on. It's because there's text over the stop sharing. Come on, get out of the way. There we go. Stop sharing. Hold on. There you go.
Okay. All right, let's see here.
We see you, you're walking up to the podium now, you're dressed around you, everybody's applauding.
Let's see here. I have it up, and I've selected share screen, and I see I don't know why it's not selecting my screen, but these things never work when you want them to. Let's try this.
You know what's funny about this in a way? We had a debate, before. Did we just want to give everybody's slides in advance, say to Kim?
Mhm.
And the argument was, no, let's not. That's really too much of a burden. You don't need to. Everybody can do their own, and people know how to do it. But
This is a,
technology
we're doing the,
has a way of always getting the last word, doesn't it?
it does, would it be easier if I emailed this to somebody real quick, or? Because I am,
I guess you could, why don't you email them? Kim, are you able to share? Well, you have my email, don't you? So why don't you try emailing them to me?
okay,
How many did you have? Because maybe you can just talk to them, and we're going to post them afterward.
okay. Let's see here. Yeah, my apologies. I don't know why this
Well,
isn't.
it's probably not your fault, but we had issues at the very beginning.
Okay,
Is Jean a co-host, Kim? I can't tell. Is that the problem, that we haven't really made her a co-host?
No, she is set as a co-host.
Hmm.
all right, well, let's see if I can. All right, I'm emailing this to you, Mary Jo, to see if maybe you can bring it up while I get started talking.
Okay, I will do that. You go ahead.
Okay. All right. Well, so now that I've eaten up half my 5 minutes, I just want to thank so much, say thank you to Wave for recognizing the work that we have done. And of course, it's never a small task to really collaborate and create a program like this. If you were looking at our slides, I do have just kind of an overview of what Link does, our vision, our mission, and the member services that we offer. So we do transportation, errands, many of the things that all of our villages offer. In 2023, we had 150 members, 160 volunteers, 11,684 volunteer hours, which we provided 1,200 rides and 41,000 volunteer miles, just to give you some context. So we have a beautiful photo of our minibus, which I hope you get to see. And that's sort of the symbol of this project for us. We have many partners, and I'm just going to run through some thank yous real quick, and I can't do justice to all the contributions, but I do want to mention the folks who were involved in making this project happen. So the first group of people, the team members, really need no introduction to this group. So Mary Jane Atwater, our other founders, Jeff Lynn and Joseph Cole, Carolyn Rourke, Emily Slunt, Carol Simpson, and then I was fortunate enough to join this group in 2022 as executive director. Our partners include, and I don't know if she's on, I hope she is, Kristen Lampraza of the Rapidan Regional Commission and the umbrella organization of the Regional Transportation Collaborative. Ray Parks of our Encompass Community Supports, which is our CSB and AAA. Our church in our community, Lake of the Woods Church, Rapid Home, and the Path Foundation. Also just kind of want to send out thank you to all the volunteers and board of directors and committees, some of our county supervisors, including Lee Frame and Brian Nickel. And let me know if you, because I'm going through the PowerPoint.
It's not letting me share now.
Oh, it's not. Oh, yeah, it's a regular PowerPoint file, so I don't know what's.
But that, oh, wait, now maybe we'll, hold
Okay.
on. Let's see.
Oh, that looks promising.
Does that look like you?
Yep, that looks like me.
Okay, well, there you go.
Fabulous. Okay, so if you want to click through a couple of, again, these will be made available to you, so I won't read through all of these, but
I think you mentioned it, but I think it's worth calling out that isn't the Regional Transportation Partnership part of your AAA, your Area Agency on Aging, or am I wrong on that?
so that's why I put Low Link Project Regional Transportation Partnership, because this project, I didn't want to get it confused with the Regional Transportation Collaborative. And so I will talk a little bit about that, but there's sort of the low link part of this bigger thing. And so I'm focusing on, sort of what we have done, but also, of course, we did it in a community of wide support, which again, I'll share a little bit more. So this is the 14-passenger minibus, which generates so much excitement, both people riding on it because it's as much fun as whatever event we're attending, just getting there on the minibus. It also offers, in addition to social activities, it offers us the ability to use the lift to transport people who use a wheelchair. Okay, next slide. I already talked about it, our team members. And again, I laughed when I put this together because I've got, board president and volunteer. And of course, each of these could have a whole each of these people could have a whole PowerPoint on their accomplishments. So, okay, could continue. I mentioned these partners, and we were talking about the Regional Transportation Collaborative a moment ago, and that is under the umbrella of the Rappahannock-Rapidan Regional Commission, and Kristen Lampraza has just been an incredible partner. She really, we wouldn't be doing this without her support and assistance. Also, that extends to Ray Parks, who's the Director of Community Connections for Older Adults, which is essentially is our AAA, and he's part of Encompass Community Supports, which is our CSB. And we'll talk more about some of these other partnerships in a minute. So next slide. Special thanks. Again, I think I went through this, so we'll continue. That is one of the two vehicles that we have access to. So this was their the van in the foreground is the initial van that we had access to probably around 2016 or 17 with the partnership through the Encompass Community Supports. And that allows not just low link, but volunteers from the region to take people on trips, like say, to UVA or something for a medical appointment beyond the scope of low link. As an example of the two-way partnership, though, they made this available to us, and many of our low link volunteers staff this particular service. And then behind that is the minibus that I've already told you about, and that's what came about through the work that we did in the last, say, 2 to 3 years. Okay, continue. So what we do transportation wise, and I realize 5 minutes isn't very long, so I'll try to go through this quickly. But in addition to our everyday drivers who take people to medical appointments, we now have a team, thanks to this partnership, of 12 trained minibus drivers, and we co-train them with the minivan as well. So we can take people to social events, medical appointments, and community engagement activities. Okay. So new ways we are serving our members and the community through the partnership, taking people to Walmart, Yoder's, and the mall for food and other shopping, going to sporting and theater events, trip to local restaurants, medical appointments with that ever essential use of the wheelchair lift. And then for the community beyond just Lake of the Woods, we also support civic engagement. For example, we took people in a nearby low-income senior living community to the polls on election day. Okay, and let's see. So we've been able to really reduce isolation. We had 1,078 instances of members and volunteers attending 77 social events in 2023. I'm not going to tell Mary's story because I think I don't have enough time, but basically the gist of it is she was not getting out of her house. And finally, we coaxed her onto a minibus trip, and now she's on every single trip. So it really turned things around for her. Again, the lift, having access to the lift for the minibus allowed Steve, as these are not real names, to get to his essential medical appointments, which he would never be able to do without this lift on the minibus. Okay, next. And that's one of our lovely volunteers, one of our super volunteers during a training, and she's on the wheelchair lift. Okay. The benefits of this program is that, you know, in addition to the things I've already mentioned, it's really increased volunteerism. It raises the visibility of our village, but also our community partners and just villages and the village model in general. When people see that minibus, they're like, hey, what's that? And so, you know, we can share that we can still have fun and be connected even as we, you know, need extra support as we age. Okay. That's a fun trip to the Nats game. That was recent. And so you can see everybody having a good time on the minibus. What it takes, I mean, it's what the village is, you know, what we're all about: teamwork, partnerships and collaboration, two-way relationships, paying it forward, of course, our volunteers and staff, and innovation. Trip to the library, a lot of fun. I'm not going to go through this timeline because I'm aware of the time, but you can scroll through that at your leisure. But a lot of good work was done, including a transportation needs assessment, which was really important to inform our programs and priorities. Okay. Keep going. That speaks to the assessment. Keep going. There's Reggie. We can go back to that one. Yeah, Reggie is one of our 2 past certified trainers. So Rapid Home is also one of our partners. Their volunteers trained us, and then our folks got certified, and now we train our low church volunteers, and also, you know, recently just continued to expand partnerships with connecting with the free clinic, who, you know, they're saying, hey, we need rides for our folks as well. So it's really been exciting to see how from the early beginning of just how can we do better, you know, providing transportation, reducing isolation, supporting medical and food needs, to now just really this thing just keeps continuing to grow and expand, and more and more people are getting involved. So again, I really want to thank WAVE and everybody out there for, you know, recognizing the work that we've all done together, and for everybody who was a part of this effort. So.
Well, I want to thank you and congratulate you again, but I think that in a way, this last slide speaks to it all. I noticed that your volunteer driver is obviously having fun. He's very happy. I love the t-shirt. You know, I presume that that's what the drivers get to wear when they're driving. So this is really a well put together package of activities that make everybody feel better.
Well, thank you so much.
Okay, good. Okay, now I have to escape here and get out of that one. And let me stop screen sharing. Well, no, I have to go back to my slides now. So let me get out of you. Come on, you. Why are you taking? Don't seem to be able. Okay, file. Let me open up mine. Okay, there we go. So now, drum roll again. Now I'm going to say that we had, you know, many good applicants this year, and so now we have 2 that are co-winners that are splitting the award for $500 each. And the next one is Cleveland and Woodley Park in Washington, D.C. They had a wonderful program of Sunday suppers. And now let's see, I believe that I need to try and find, you gave me your Sunday suppers.
Mary Jo, in case you're unaware, we still see low link.
Well, I'm in, it says I'm screen sharing, and it has Sunday suppers up right now.
Okay. Well, I see low link, Locust Grove, Virginia.
That's what I see.
Okay.
Well,
thought-
what is wrong? Okay, I tell you what I'm going to do. Let me I thought I'd actually closed out. Let me do that and do that. And let me actually close out of this one file. See, the button to actually close it has been hidden from me. So I have to see how I can just delete it or something, because there isn't a little red button, to say, file, turn it off.
Mary Jo, I can probably share it.
Okay, can you go ahead and do your own? Okay, I'll stop sharing. There you go. Yes, thank you very much. So we have Frank Fenimore with us, who put together this very good program.
Great. Can you all see that?
Yep.
Great. I'm Frank Fenimore, the Executive Director of the Cleveland Woodley Park Village in Washington, D.C., and I'm really happy to talk about the great partnerships that have enabled us to serve older adults on a Sunday afternoon with a great meal. The goals of our particular project was to really increase social connection. And we learned through some focus groups that older adults were particularly lonely on Sundays. There weren't a lot of activities scheduled, and also it was a time when traditionally many people got together with their families. And so they told us, if you do something, please do it on a Sunday, and we'd love Sunday afternoon. So that's how this idea sort of got hatched. DC, unfortunately, is 48th in the nation in terms of senior hunger. And so we also wanted to address that issue. And although we're known primarily as an affluent area where the National Zoo is, our neighborhood is actually now receiving many people through housing vouchers. And so it's a fallacy that we're all affluent. And we really wanted a way to bring the community together, to make sure that the tent was large and we were serving all the people in our community. And so we had long been a partner of All Souls Episcopal Church, often having our board meetings and activities there. But we came together to really bring the community into their space by sharing some grant funding. So our model was that the church and the village each went and got grant money. Ours was from the Washington Home Foundation, and the church's was from the Episcopal Diocese of Washington. And we put in the same amount of money, and we used that in order to buy the food that we serve to any older adult in the community. And what we've done is we use all of our traditional methods of getting information out to people, like the church bulletin and our weekly newsletter for the village. But we've also gone into 35 apartment buildings with detailed information about the Sunday suppers and other programs. And we post it in the laundry rooms where people are bored while they're waiting for their spin cycle. And so we've really gotten more interest from people that wouldn't otherwise know about us through digital means. And what was really important here was another partnership with our local restaurants. We really felt that some people weren't able to afford, the places that they saw right in their neighborhood. And so we go to the restaurants, we pay the restaurants because we want to support small businesses, but they provide us with a nice discount because they're not plating each individual meal, they provide it in bulk. And then our volunteers pick it up and plate it and serve it. And what's really great about this model is that all of our volunteers are also sitting at the tables and facilitating the conversation among the participants. It's not just that people are coming up in a buffet. We really do try to facilitate the conversation and to connect neighbors and to, again, build that community. We also take the opportunity to let folks know about important information that they might not get otherwise, such as information about other village resources and things like the latest scams. We try not to make it too program heavy, but we want to make sure that those are available to folks so that they can get the information that they need. We serve about 50 people every month. It's always on the second Sunday of the month. We try to keep it really regimented so that people can remember. And we really feel like we've gained a few members from it, but more importantly, both the village and the church feel like we're living our mission and we're bringing about a greater sense of community, particularly with folks that we've never served before. And we're hopefully connecting not only neighbors helping neighbors, but neighbors being neighbors to each other in a way that maybe they haven't before. So our key partners are listed here. What's interesting is that all of us are servant leaders, and many of us are washing dishes at the end of the night. And we recently had a longtime member who came to several of the suppers and said, next time I really want to serve other people. And it was a really great model, and it's been a lot of fun. And the big takeaway is, for me, is that if you give people an incentive like a free meal, it's amazing what can happen around a table.
Excellent. Well, thank you. Thank you very much. And I will say that what the judges appreciate many things about that. They appreciated your the fact that you were taking a Sunday afternoon, which is the best way to bring people together, and that you did have some programming there, because important language that information that these people would benefit from knowing, but they might not get access to it in any other way. So having them there was an extra benefit. So we really thank you very much. Okay, so let me see if I can get back to sharing. Okay, now are you seeing me now? Okay, and can you hear me? I guess you can. All right, so our the co-winner was a project that is sort of similar to Lowlink, but they had their own distinguished work in their community. And I hope that Victoria has joined us. Victoria, are you there? There was a possibility that they're good. Excellent. Now, I don't think you have any slides, so just take it away.
No, I don't have any slides, which should prove as a relief to everyone because we'd have to go through the same thing we just went through a third time. Yes, our program is very similar to Lowlink's. Just some real quick back history on Rapid Home. Rapid Home was started in 2015 with 50 members. We're now up to over 600, which is absolutely incredible. But we're also in a very rural part of Virginia to some degree, as is Lowlink. Unlike Lowlink, we only did like 600 to 700 rides last year, but it was far more than we were able to do ourselves. So we joined with the Regional Transportation Collaborative, which is a group of that includes Voltran, and I'm sorry, somebody's emailing me, Voltran and a couple of other volunteer support organizations, and has also included a new, you'll have to excuse me, I was kind of in a rush this morning, also includes what's now called Rap Connect, which is a driver that Kristen was able to get through a state grant, which has helped us out a great deal. But because we tend to get anywhere between 60 and 80 ride requests a month, which is something far more than our 20 drivers can do. And because we joined the Regional Transportation Collaborative, we have been able to probably successfully do 93% of those rides. I said we did over 600 to 700 rides last year. 150 of those rides alone were wheelchair rides. It was very funny. In Lowlink's presentation, the gentleman who was actually doing the training is Mike Wenger, who is one of our own Rapid Home, and he does most of the wheelchair driving training. We have 2 wheelchair vans at our disposal. One is actually owned by Rapid Home. It was given as a donation last year. by one of our friend members who passed away, and another one is from the Regional Transportation Collaborative. We are the only ones in Rappahannock County that actually can provide wheelchair rides unless you're going in an ambulance. So we tend to be very busy. I feel almost embarrassed standing up here talking about this, because the people that should be getting this award and will get the results of the $500 that we get are all the volunteers I have that drive. We have people that very much like all the other organizations on this particular call, we drive to medical appointments, we drive to funerals, we drive, if you want to go out to dinner with friends, we drive you to, we did over 200 activities last year, over 1,800 people attended them. We will take you to get your hair cut, whatever you need. We have a friendly visitor program that literally goes out and visits those that are signed up at least once a month. Most people do it once a week, and they go to lunch, or they go on walks, or they go to movies. And a lot of that is, as we know, isolation is a huge thing to us right now. So we're all working very hard to eliminate, or at least help our little section of the people that we know are isolated. But we cannot do this by ourselves. We are all so much stronger together. And it's the churches, and most of the churches around here, like I'm sure in the villages that you have, they each have their own caring committee, they have their own transportation committee, and they all work with us. And I am so complimented and honored and humbled in so many ways, even to be part of this organization. So thank you, WAVE, for giving us the award, even if we have to share it with Frank, who I think has a fabulous program.
There you go. Well, thank you very much. You can see how well done that was. And we did have 2 runners-up that I want to just mention briefly. We do hope to offer them an opportunity to present their programs to you, because they were very interesting as well. The Golden Age Village, which is under the Islamic Society of Baltimore, collaborated with the Baltimore County Department of Aging to host a monthly memory cafe. And it was tailored for diverse older adults and caregivers, especially for first-generation immigrants. So it really was a good way to foster support and provide a really nurturing setting for these people. And Rubina Ansari was the village coordinator. I don't know, Rubina, are you on the call anywhere? She may not be. And again, we do hope to be able to present that in the future. And Bradley Hills Village had a membership campaign, and it was multi-pronged. A third of their members helped engage in this, and including a sneaker brigade that delivered flyers to 1,300 houses, and it increased their membership by 50%. So I think that's something that many villages would love to hear more about, as you will. So that concludes our awards part of it. And we are now ready to move on to the plenary panel, which I am myself looking forward to very much. I think I'm going to go ahead and make all of these introductions separately, in advance. I'm sorry, I'm going to make them all in advance, and then I'll open the panel. So Ethan Lawley is the Encore Creativity Assistant Artistic Director. And he has a Master of Music Education degree with an emphasis on instrumental and choral conducting. He's currently the music director for the Symphony Orchestra of Northern Virginia and choir director for Good Shepherd Lutheran Church, also in Alexandria. Emma Spicknall is the Marketing Communications Director at Encore, and she has her Bachelor of Arts from the University of Baltimore with a focus on writing. But she aims to educate people on the meaning and value of the arts in our lives. And by the way, as a former chorister, and I call myself a choral addict, I really appreciate what Encore is doing. Janine Tersini is the leading force behind the Arts for the Aging's pioneering directions and its national recognition for best practices, program design, and outcomes in the growing field of creative aging. The social service nonprofit, which serves Greater Washington, has been named a model program for lifelong learning by the National Endowment for the Arts. And it's been named a trailblazer by the Maryland Department of Aging. Her motivation to work with the arts arose because she likes the path that it creates for professional artists to earn a living beyond the commercial route of exhibiting, performing. Kayla Conklin is part of the Arts for Aging program team, and she leads the Creative Connections project, social media accounts, and special exhibitions. She has worked in the field of arts, nonprofits, and museums, exploring arts programming, museum education, and collections management. Her enthusiasm began with museum trips to personally in elementary school and discovering arts, political, and activist potential and transformative power the arts have to communities of people. So now let's hope we don't have to go through this all over again. Ethan or Lolly, are you? I can stop sharing my screen. And do you think that you're going to be able to?
I have the slides for Encore here, so I can try and share my screen.
Okay.
Okay. Is it working?
Yeah.
Hooray! Okay. Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me here today. I'm Emma Spicknell, and as Mary Jo said, I'm the Director of Communications at Encore Creativity for Older Adults. I'm first going to take a step back and talk about our philosophy and why introducing older adults to the arts is so important. And then my colleague here, Ethan Lawley, will explain in more granular detail about our programs and our offerings. So first of all, let me take a moment to talk about our Singing for Life model. 2023, according to the Surgeon General's report, they ranked loneliness as one of the highest health risks for older adults. Feeling isolated and disengaged from your community can lead to unhappiness and physical, mental, and social health issues. But involvement and sustained engagement in the arts is one way that we can combat that loneliness. Older adult singers have consistently reported that singing involves them in their community and increases that important social connection. And of course, memory and music are deeply linked. For those with Alzheimer's and other dementias and memory and cognitive change, singing and music can connect them with care partners and reduce stress. And then singing creates a positive environment, socially, mentally, and physically, that connects singers with others. So Encore Creativity actually began as the result of an NEA and NIH-funded study, which launched in 2001. Jean Kelly, which is the founder of our organization, along with the gerontologist, Dr. Jean Cohen, launched a pilot chorale program that would later become Encore Creativity for Older Adults. That study investigated how older adults could benefit from creative activities, and the results of that were striking. Kelly and Cohen found that after participating in that chorale program for a mere 90 minutes once per week, the participants had decreased loneliness and isolation. They had reduced levels of depression, anxiety, and stress. They decreased the number of prescription and over-the-counter medications that they required. They had an increase in morale and an interest in daily life, increased cognitive functioning and memory. They experienced fewer doctor visits, falls, and medical intervention. And they had, importantly, sustained involvement in community and local activities. So I'm going to break this down into three different areas. First, we're going to talk about music and physical health. Singing is uniquely suited to improve that physical health. Studies have actually shown that singing and choir participation, because of the different aspects that singing involves physically, can improve your breathing and lung function. It can promote proper posture. It reduces the tension in your body and muscles, and it produces endorphins, which boosts your physical health and reduces pain responses. And as demonstrated in that creativity and aging study that Dr. Jean Cohen wrote, these effects are further pronounced in the older adult population. And preliminary research even indicates that singing can boost that immune response in the body, which reduces the risk of physical illness. Next, we have music and emotional health. Group singing is profoundly effective in improving our emotional and social health, because singing can even boost mood immediately after a song, particularly when joining together in a community. Singing together in harmony in choirs is so useful for that social connection because it creates bonds that last beyond the rehearsal room. It reduces depression and negative moods, significantly improves baseline morale. It helps reduce those endorphins, which again are so critical for reducing stress in the body, and it provides a positive and creative outlet with fellow singers, especially within your peer group. Group choral singing provides a chance for singers to join together in harmony, both emotionally and socially. And then with loneliness ranking as one of the highest health risks, social connection is key, especially in the post-COVID-19 era, where so many people were isolated as a result of that. Social connections from group singing can create those friendships that last far beyond any rehearsal room. Finally, we'll talk about music and mental health and brain health. In the landmark paper, Music on Our Minds, The Rich Potential Music to Promote Brain Health and Wellbeing, which was co-authored by AARP and the Global Council on Brain Health, they found that music impacts multiple different regions of the brain simultaneously, which includes listening, movement, attention, language, emotion, memory, and thinking skills. And all of those working in tandem together means that your brain is working in multiple different areas and aspects simultaneously. It can help people recall powerful and meaningful memories and emotions. Studies have actually found that the parts of the brain that are affected by cognitive change and Alzheimer's and dementias are separate from the ones that remember music and familiar tunes, so those memories stay intact even in instances of cognitive change. It can stimulate thinking skills when learning to sing a new song, play an instrument, or dance. It can help manage your stress by participating in engaging and enjoyable activity week after week. It's always something to look forward to in the rehearsal room, and that's something that's so important for so many people to have that week after week, that important thing that they can look forward to spending time with their friends. It positively affects your mind by physically reducing your blood pressure and heart rate. And then, of course, as we know, is so critical if you've ever had a night where you can't sleep, it improves your quality and length of sleep, actually, which enhances your mood and reduces tension. And that study, the original study, and then all of these additional studies prove a vital point that has guided Encore Creativity's vision, which is singing keeps you healthy, mentally, physically, and emotionally. And so that's where Encore Creativity sort of began. Our mission statement is to create meaningful arts experiences that support lifelong learning, wellness, and fun for all older adults. And we do that with multiple different programs, which my colleague Ethan will talk about in a bit. In our vision, we envision a world where older adults everywhere have a place in the arts. There are so many opportunities for older adults to engage with the arts, but vanishingly few to participate in them. And that's where Encore Creativity comes in. All of our programs are non-auditioned and open to people who want to sing, whether they've sung before or they've never sung before. And so we want to create that area where everyone can feel welcomed and everyone can participate in the arts. We do focus on that by saying that everyone belongs here and that everyone has a place at Encore. And of course, we value diversity and we invite all to share, learn, and create in that environment of respect. We're dedicated to inclusion and we welcome all who want to sing with us. Our values, of course, are celebrating the older adult voice, creating that accessible and inclusive arts community, improving health and wellness in so many different ways, inspiring that passion for quality lifelong learning, and cultivating opportunities for social connection and friendship. Just a bit about our story and how we began. In 2001, there was that initial study with the NEA and NIH funded study with George Washington University and Dr. Gene Cohen. 2007 was when we were initially founded. In 2008 was our first Kennedy Center concert. We are typically a part of the Millennium Stage Series, and we bring encore singers from across the nation, up to 450 total, to the Kennedy Center stage as a part of their Areas of Impact Millennium Stage Series. In 2009, we launched our Singing Abroad and Travel programs, which brings encore singers around the world to share what older adult singers can do and how much fun it can be. And then 2015, we launched our Rocks choirs with Encore Rocks. 2017 was our 10th anniversary. And then in 2019, we began our brain health programs with Sentimental Journey Singers. Those programs are for those with cognitive change and their care partners. They sing together, and those programs are funded with assistance from Insight Memory Care and other memory care organizations. In 2020, due to COVID-19, of course, we were affected by that. So we launched online programs like Encore University to keep people connected even when they couldn't meet physically. In 2021, we returned to safe in-person singing. And then in 2022, we launched our Melody Makers programs, which are for those with mid to moderate stage cognitive change and their care partners. Musical Experiences program for those with cognitive change. And so I will turn it over to Ethan to talk about our programs.
Thank you so much, Emma. Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Wonderful. So my name's Ethan Lawley. I'm the Assistant Artistic Director here for Encore Creativity. Now, Emma kind of took you through the data, the reason why Encore Creativity began, and the reasons why singing is so good for older adults. So now I'm going to dive into the programs that we offer that make it fun for older adults and build community. There we go. So first off, we have our programs really are the heartbeat of our organization, right? We are the nation's largest choral performing arts organization in the country. And this breaks it down and shows you just how big we might be. We are in 8 states in Washington, D.C. We serve 43 ensembles across the country, and that includes a little over 1,600 singers per semester in our fall and spring seasons. Now, our programs consist of Encore Chorales, Encore Rocks, Arts for Life, and Encore University. And I'm going to talk a little bit specifically about each of those.
I hope this will work.
I don't think there's any sound, Emma.
Oh, no. No sound still?
No.
Shoot. Sorry, guys. Let's see here. Share sound. Got it. It'll work now.
So Emma, before you actually start that, I'm going to prep everyone. So I told everyone about the 4 groups that we have. Here in this video, you're actually going to get a chance to see 2 of our groups in action. I talked about the Encore Chorale and the Rocks program. And so this video is from the 2023 Kennedy Center Millennium Stage Series performance. And as Emma was stating earlier, this is an annual concert that we are so grateful for to perform on one of the country's finest stages that we have right here in DC. And for this performance, we invite anyone in our groups, and I told you about the numbers, of the 1,600 singers that we have across the country. We invite any one of those to come to the Kennedy Center to perform. It is usually always the day after Christmas, so most people's families are with them in town and they can come see this free performance at the Kennedy Center. This is what we call our mass chorister event.
Sound now?
Yes.
All right, thank you so much, Emma. I apologize to everyone. It looks like the sound was going in and out for me. It looks like the sound was too great, and so you did really get to hear the full voices of those singers. So I apologize about that. But you can always watch that on YouTube if you look up Encore Creativity at the Kennedy Center Millennium Stage. It's a really amazing event, and I promise you the sound is a whole lot better on YouTube than what you just heard. I think you just heard like a third-party sound, like maybe through Emma's computer. But first we have the Encore Chorale. That's the group you heard first in that really short video. The Encore Chorales are traditional choral ensembles conducted by our seasoned professionals with experience working with singers of all skill levels. Now they usually sing in what we call SATB. So do I have any choruser friends, anyone that was in chorus in high school or professionally or community-wise? So you know that each part of the voice can sing in either soprano, alto, tenor, or bass. And we allow all of our singers to figure out what voice part best fits with them. And normally our conductors, will actually help many of our singers determine that, because as Emma stated earlier, we have no audition requirements to join our choirs. We may have an older adult who comes to us and say, well, I've been told I'm tone deaf my whole life, but I want to learn to sing because I think it sounds fun. We accept them because we believe by being in a community of other singers, those who may think they are tone deaf will eventually start hearing the tones they need to be able to match pitch. So we never turn anyone away, regardless of if they think they can sing or not, because singing is, as you saw from the data, much more than just singing, right? It includes all of the health benefits, the social benefits, and just the well-being that you feel after leaving a rehearsal. So back to our encore chorales. Since they do sing harmonized performances, our repertoire is selected from the American Songbook, the classical literature way back 1700s, 1600s, musical theater, and even new works. So I'll give you some examples. Anyone heard of You're the Top by Cole Porter from Anything Goes? That's what we would consider like classical musical theater type music. We just sang that recently. Continuing on that train, The Sound of Music. We just did a medley of The Sound of Music. And then we took it way back to Mozart, actually, in the classical period with a piece called Viva. And then if you've ever heard of Verdi, he's a very famous opera composer. We did Va Pensiero, which is a very famous tune by Verdi. And then we did we perform music by modern composers like Rollo Dilworth, and a composer from actually right here in Alexandria, Virginia. Her name is B.E. Boykin. I live here in Alexandria, Virginia, so I'm proud to praise her name. B.E. Boykin is really changing the game for a lot of modern choir music, and we try to perform a lot of her music as well. So next we have the Encore Rocks program. This is very different. So if you think all that music you just heard is not for you, then we have the 180 version for anyone that says, hey, I don't really like to sing anything other than something on my radio or on my record player with CDs or on my phone. This is the music for you. So these ensembles perform rock and roll classics from the 50s, 60s, 70s, all the way up to today. And here's the kicker. This is a really cool part. Why we know it's really popular. That each of their concerts, they're accompanied by a 3-piece rock band. So if you've ever dreamed of singing in a rock band, it is never too late, my friends. You can join the Encore Rocks. You'll have a guitar, a bass guitar, and a piano, as well as a drum set, all joining you for those concerts. And these pieces are also arranged for SATB, so full gamut of voices for you to choose from. Just a little quote we had from one of our singers: "It's a joy to feel like a small part of something great. We work for 15 weeks, each trying to do our best in our part of each piece. It surprises me that we can do that. Holy cow, we're pretty good. How cool is that?" And that's a really uplifting feeling for an older adult who may be in isolation most parts of the day, to come to join this rehearsal and to feel like they're a part of a group doing something they never thought they could do. All right, next is our Sentimental Journey Singers. So this is part of our Arts for Life program. So you just saw our Encore Chorale and Encore Rocks program. This is a completely separate department. It's what we call our Arts for Life. And this is an extension of, no matter where you are in life, we still want you to sing. And this supports individuals with early to mid-stage cognitive change with their care partners. And they rehearse not quite SATB, we make it a little bit less, better for their voices, 3-part mixed choral music with additional opportunities to hone basic vocal skills and improve mobility. And we are really able to do this, and this is what we really call the heart of why we do what we do. It's the generous funding from our sponsors. All Sentimental Journey Singers programming is completely free to all singers and their care partners, and that's something that is very important to us. All right, next. So you heard about all of our performing groups, right? Next is our Encore University, which is, we really call it our truly, it's like a college or university where you're taking classes, you're learning. This actually came out of the pandemic because, as we know, in-person activities were not possible then. And an organization like Encore Creativity, we survived off of being able to bring people together. So the pandemic was like, what are we going to do? How are we going to survive? So like many people, we reverted to virtual. And we created Encore University, which gave opportunities for singers to sing through Zoom, as well as take classes. And the classes part is what we've continued, even though the pandemic is slowly going behind us. But now coming out of the pandemic, we've expanded this to a substantial educational program. And this is multidisciplinary curriculum. So what I mean by that, folks, is that you're not just learning about music or learning to sing. You might take a class in learning how to draw from a professional artist. You might take a class in ballet all through Zoom. Maybe you're going to learn how to conduct through Zoom, or the basics of reading music, music theory, or you might even learn to compose your own piece. And all these are super exciting for many of our older adults. And here's the greatest thing about it. We offer scholarships for all of these programs based on need. So financial barrier is not a problem. All right, we can go on. And if that wasn't enough for you, the spring and the fall, when you do your Encore chorales or your Rocks programs or Encore University, what are you going to do during the summer? Well, we actually have singing summer programs that we just started 2 semesters ago. So you could sing full time. Well, what about the breaks in May or in June or on the weekends? Well, we can fill you up full time as a singer with Encore, because we do something that we call experiences and more. First, we have choral institutes. We travel to many places throughout the U.S. We participate in a choral institute like Chautauqua Institution in New York, where singers can go a week in August and sing and be on the beautiful campus there. We travel to many places throughout the U.S. on long weekends. We call these retreats, like Orlando, Florida, or Bedford Springs, Pennsylvania, where singers will go and to some type of resort and sing for a weekend and also enjoy community building activities outside of the singing. And we have travel opportunities. And currently, you're probably wondering, well, where is your CEO and your artistic director right now? I'm just the assistant artistic director. Well, they are actually in St. Thomas in the Virgin Islands right now, taking around 65 of our singers on a wonderful tour of those beautiful islands there. And in 2025, we are going to Ireland, and I'm super excited about that. All right. Our current community. So this is where we are currently at. This means we have a group, whether that be a Rocks program, a chorale program, a sentimental journey program in one of these areas. In Maryland, it pretty much takes the whole gamut. Annapolis, Gaithersburg, Baltimore, Columbia, Frederick, Glen Echo, Rockville, Silver Spring, and Lusby. In Virginia, we've got here in Alexandria, Arlington, Ashburn, Fairfax, Falls Church, Reston. Of course, we have in Washington, D.C. as well. We've moved on into Delaware in 2 places. Currently in North Carolina, Ohio, New York, and California. But wait, we're growing even more, and we're planning to bring this to even more future communities. On the East Coast, we're continuing with Philadelphia, a perfect location for us, not too far from us. In the Midwest, we've got Indianapolis, Indiana. We're also looking at trying to start one in Memphis, Tennessee. And beyond in the West Coast, we are actually starting one soon in Phoenix, Arizona, that's not listed on there, that we're super excited about. So we're growing and growing and growing. And we know that it's important to partner with wonderful sponsors. Having more enrolled singers than any choir in the US, we have to partner with the best. And many of these places, senior living communities like Goodwin Living, if you recognize that name, we have choirs in most all of the Goodwin Living senior living communities. Our sentimental journey singers, those experiencing cognitive change, we have those. We actually house those in the memory care centers like Insight in Fairfax. And of course, we partner with AARP. Now, looking ahead, our goals for the future, I'm not going to read all of those to you, but the one that is really at the heart of what we do, and we're really making a strong push that this is a #1 goal for us, is incorporating diversity in all of our programs. We have a very active DEIA committee, that's Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Accessibility, who are experienced and committed to building a group of singers that look like the communities in which we perform. We find that to be very important because we want to make sure that we are including everyone, regardless of race, regardless of identity, that diversity is really at the heart of what we do. And of course, we're a nonprofit, so all the money goes into the operation of our singers. And as you can see, we keep our singers busy if they want to sing. So that was just like a real quick 15-minute spiel on really what our programs are. And I think we'll probably have time for questions maybe later, but I just want to make sure that we continue on. So thank you all so much. If you have questions about Encore Creativity, you can always email us right there, info@encorecreativity.org. We have a phone as well, and we have our website, encorecreativity.org. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That was wonderful. I want to take my prerogative to say a couple of things. First is, my family has always done sing-alongs. And when my father turned 90, we did a sing-along in his retirement community. I mean, when he turned 90, we did it. And the entire community came, and you talked about music and memory, and it is true. When you can't remember anything else, you can dredge those lyrics and those tunes out of the deepest resources of your soul. And it was just wonderful. Everybody could sing along. We made a songbook too. And the other thing I wanted to point out is that Frances Collins, the retired head of NIH, oh, I had her name, and now I'm 80. Anyway, the great opera singer, and you'll know it, Encore, they created with the Kennedy Center a program called Music and Health. And they are putting on concerts and doing programs and research on that. So I'm so glad personally, and on behalf of all of us, to know that Encore is moving ahead in this direction. Okay, so for our next speakers, do you have your own slides available, Janine or Sarah? Are you going to talk for Arts in the Aging?
Yes, good morning, everybody. I'm Janine. Can you hear me?
We can.
Okay, and my colleague Kayla Conklin is on the line with us today, and she's going to be sharing slides with us. So let's get the slide set up going, and I'll begin. Terrific. So thank you, first of all, to the Washington Area Village Exchange, and especially Elizabeth Hale and Ava Lucero for inviting us here today. And hello to our friends at Encore. Moving on to the next slide. We were founded in 1988 by an artist, by a scientist, a philanthropist, Lola Sarnoff, who was a Montgomery County resident herself. And her idea grew out of a study that she helped conduct with former colleagues at the National Institutes of Health. And that study showed that art making reduced agitation and improved moods and behaviors in people with Alzheimer's disease. And since then, a field of creative aging has grown up around us, and we've emerged as a pioneering leader and a nationally recognized best practice in creative aging. And our mission is, our premise is backed by more and more studies, as you've already begun to hear, showing that regular arts participation can improve physical, cognitive, and emotional health. So moving on to the next slide, we're going to show you about a 23-second window into programs, just to give you a sense and a feel for the programs.
Arts for the Aging allow us to express ourselves, and it motivates us to dance and speak out.
The arts are a great way to bring people outside of the routine or the normal or the everyday.
When older adults are regularly involved in participatory arts programs, it actually improves their overall health and their longevity.
Thanks, Kayla. And so something that distinguishes us from Encore is that we are also a social service organization, but we're engaging in the multidisciplinary aspect of the arts, so many different art forms. And so you've heard about the therapeutic power of regular arts participation with older adults and their caregivers. And we're reaching too people with diverse abilities and backgrounds, and especially vulnerable communities that are struggling with isolation and health and accessibility needs. Our belief is in the inherent need for lifelong engagement and creative self-expression. I know our friends at Encore believe that too. And so we're providing equitable access to participatory creative aging programs that are led by professional, arts for the aging trained, and paid teaching artists. We're a nonprofit too, a 501c3, and we're funded through grants and donations, and also fees for our services. And I'll talk a little bit about inclusivity there too a little bit later. Moving on to the next slide. A little bit about our cultural data. We're delivering hundreds of programs annually, and the demand is increasing each year. We've got 28 teaching artists that last year led 506 visual, performing, and literary arts workshops. We're slated to do more this year, 27% more, 600 and close to 650 programs, and working with 40 client organizations at 66 locations, mostly in the DMV, mostly in Montgomery County, Prince George's County, the District, and Northern Virginia. And our programs take place in group settings of older adults and caregivers that are already affiliated with adult day centers, community centers, senior centers, nursing homes, continuing care retirement communities, senior villages, memory cafes, and group homes. These are our clients. We've got 1,200 plus older adults and 250 plus caregivers that we regularly reach annually. We've got 27 community collaborators that help us enhance and replicate our inclusive best practices. Like, for example, grassroots organizations like Montgomery County's Affordable Housing Opportunities Commission, the Jewish Council for the Aging, which sponsors a number of adult day centers in Montgomery County, Dance Exchange, which hosts our rehearsals for our Quicksilver Dance Company, who you're going to hear about a little bit more later. And then to premier partners like the Smithsonian Institution, multiple museums where we're collaborating and co-creating programs. Same with the Phillips Collection. We'll have a creative aging exhibition there later this year. And the DC Commission on the Arts and Humanities, where we've been training up more artists to create more of a creative caregiving workforce. And so our mission's positive impact is meant to be on health and well-being, and it's tied to the fact that we teach to engagement. We're not teaching to mastery of a skill and to make people into artists, it's really teaching to engagement. So when you see those, look at the bottom far left of this slide, you can see that we're looking for participation and social connection and self-expression. For us, this is success, and now we're learning more and more about how community connections and social connections and meaningful relationships are vital for our health and well-being lifelong. Now, moving on to more of those health and wellness outcomes in the next slide. We know that regular arts participation is an avenue for self-expression and social connection, like we've talked about. And as our age and health conditions change, this is really good news because of the research, more and more of it that's showing health benefits, decreasing loneliness, depression, anxiety, which can lower risks of dementia. And how about all of those feel-good hormones and chemical messengers that get moving in our bodies when we connect, imagine, and create with one another? This was touched on a little bit earlier, some of those chemicals. Dopamine increases, that's the brain's chemical messenger, which carries signals between our brain cells. Oxytocin increases in our bodies, that's our love and well-being hormone. It reduces perceptions of pain, anxiety, it reduces stress. 43% of older adults in the US experience social isolation. And we know that that is now understood to correlate to loneliness, depression, and accelerated mental and physical decline. But when we participate in the arts, and studies have shown this, you've heard about the famous creative aging study, and there are many more, older adults demonstrate statistically significant higher levels of positive well-being indicators, and you can see them on this slide. Now, moving on to the next slide, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the Social Impact Explorer in a moment, but I want to cite a study that the New York Times published a few years ago. It was a 2017 German report in Frontiers in Human Neuroscience, and it analyzed brain scans from people who were on average about 60 years old, and they were engaging in either interval training or social dance. And the study found that while both activities increase the size of the hippocampus, and this is the part of our brain that's key for learning and memory and equilibrium, only dance improves balance, and balance is really important, as we know, as we grow older. And now this slide offers a resource for where we look up a lot of data and studies and research about the benefits of arts participation. So I encourage you to go to Americans for the Arts website and explore this, this wheel here. It's really exciting. And it helps to make the case for these programs. It's not just art for art's sake, it's arts for health and life, healthy living. So participation in the visual arts, here's a study that we found through this wheel. Participation in the visual arts for as little as 10 weeks has been shown to increase the resiliency and neural connectivity of the brain and to make for more self-awareness and better memory processing. And then we heard how the arts benefit patients and their caregivers and systems that provide care. It saves money, it can reduce pain medication needs and the length of hospital stays, strengthening immune levels, decreasing depression, increasing memory and cognitive function, improving communication and behavioral skills. This all helps move us away from risk factors that drive the need for long-term care. So let's move on to the next slide, our program model. I mentioned that we're multidisciplinary. It distinguishes us from some other creative aging organizations that may focus on, one or two art forms. And as you can see in this word cloud of our logo, we've got opera and poetry and improvisation and drawing, movement, music, drumming, collage, expressive arts, so many more. A lot of our teaching artists are collaborating together too, interdisciplinary workshops. Every workshop is participatory, it's inclusive. For example, we're using multisensory approaches to provide a lot of different entry points for diverse interests and abilities for people in our programs. And the equitable access is important to us as well. Our model is fee-based with financial aid opportunities, although the financial aid opportunities are a little bit limited at this point. But we focus our philanthropic support that we generate on clients where access to these kinds of life enrichment interventions is limited. And the clients, as I mentioned, are community and residential care settings. Older adults and caregivers, these programs are at no cost to them, and that's important to us. Programs are typically 1 hour. We have a hybrid delivery model now as well, where our programs are in person, but they also can take place online, thanks to the pandemic. Our client locations, they can happen at client locations, or we can do it over Zoom, telephone, YouTube. We have home delivered heart kits. So the programs inspire empathy and respect. They're fostering communication and belonging and promoting social connection. And of course, our services are all backed by the full-time employees that work with us, our vetted and trained artistic faculty, and we also assess our programs. We do pre and post workshop assessments for all our programs, and so a consistent feedback loop between us and our partners really helps us with quality, engagement, and control. Moving on to the next slide, program types. I want to share a little bit more about 3 of our 6 program types today. We have creative aging workshops, we have Quicksilver, and we have teaching artists and caregiver trainings. I've already shared a little bit more about our core programming, which are creative aging workshops, multidisciplinary, participatory, inclusive. And here in the slide, you can see participants appreciating one another's contributions, connecting during our in-person and virtual programs. Having an opportunity to interact with one another is a key aspect we assess in our workshop evaluations. And I did touch on heart kits. This is something that we developed during the pandemic. These are visual and literary art kits that include materials and instruction sheets that can be used by individuals at home with their loved ones, or we can open them up in a virtual program and make art together. Moving on to the next slide, another program type is Quicksilver. Quicksilver is an improvisational senior dance company that we sponsor. It's co-led by teaching artists in dance and music, and our company members are 65 and older. We currently have a roster of 18 dancers, and they rehearse weekly at Dance Exchange, a professional black box studio. They rehearse weekly in engaging the health benefits of regular arts practice, and then they also present public performances and also facilitate creative aging workshops with our clients and community collaborators. Our colleague Kayla is going to drop a link into the chat to our website that has more information about Quicksilver. And there's also an email address in that link if you're interested in reaching out to learn more about how to join the company. Now we're going to move on to slide 10. The next slide here, this is about our teaching artists and caregiver trainings. So not only do we provide creative aging programs for older adults and caregivers, but also trainings for teaching artists and caregivers. Teaching artist trainings are customized for professional artists and community and cultural arts organizations that are interested in workforce development. Arts for the Aging caregiver programs are a blend of support and training content that's based on our creative aging methodologies. And so we'll work with clients to customize the content, identify the right art form, the right teaching artist, and how we can best support the goals of the client. Our caregiver programs provide respite for family and professional caregivers. They're a place to gather in community and with others that are experiencing similar life circumstances, and we acknowledge, the individuality of caregivers and the humanity behind that identity as a caregiver. And it's an introduction on how to integrate regular arts practices into one's personal caregiving life and also caregiving practices. All of our programs embody 3 values, which are community outreach, participatory engagement, and respect. So with community outreach, we're going to organizations and clients where older adults and caregivers are already living or attending programs, so that we can reach organizations that wouldn't otherwise be able to access this kind of therapeutic arts programming. And then participatory engagement. It's not about us teaching artists standing in front of an audience. We embrace creativity and an improvisational spirit of yes and. Our teaching model validates interaction, all levels of interaction, and it celebrates spontaneous self-expression regardless of ability. We all have creativity inside of us. And then respect uplifts you know, the dignity of all human beings, doesn't it? And we value the diverse life experiences and cultures and complexity of every individual. And our teaching artists are really skilled at bringing those stories into the program and listening for those stories too. Moving on to the next slide. We're coming to a close. I want to invite you to connect with us on social media. We have a leave behind packet that will include our organizational brochure, our program guide, a brochure about our Creative Connections project. And about our Creative Connections project, this is our last bit here. My colleague Kayla is going to tell you a little bit more about Creative Connections. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. So Arts for the Aging is seeking 5 residential long-term care communities in Montgomery County to participate in fully funded 4-week arts workshop series. Eligible communities must be located in Montgomery County. They may be assisted living communities, skilled nursing settings, independent living communities, memory care neighborhoods, and more long-term care settings like that. And workshops must include older adults ages 65 and up. I will drop a link in the chat shortly with more information about how to apply and about the project in general. And that information will also be in the brochure, and a brochure will be in the leave behind packet that we share after the presentation. So if you know of any long-term care communities who might be interested in benefiting from our creative aging programs that foster engagement, self-expression, and socialization for older adults and caregivers, would you please help me spread the word? Even better, if you could please put me in touch with their activities directors. My contact information is on the screen, and it will also be in the leave behind packet. Thank you so much.
Mary Jo, you are muted, but I know that she's giving thanks to all our speakers.
Thank you. Yes, I'm thanking all of our speakers, and thank you to Elizabeth for finding them and bringing us all together. This is new for WAVE. It may be new for many of you on this program today to be hearing about these opportunities. And so I hope that there is a lot of follow-up back to Encore and Arts for Aging. And I remind you that we will be posting the slides, so you'll be able to see their contact information there. Thank you.
And they'll also be in the breakout room. We'll have 2 breakout rooms. One will cover follow-up questions for both organizations if your village wants to get involved or has questions with them. So you'll be able to choose to go to that one. And then there's a second room that is for anybody that wants to discuss with other villages ongoing issues called Problem of the Day. Mary Jo, just let me know when you want me to open those.
Well, now let me ask. I told you at the beginning that if everyone, virtually everybody, would like to just continue the Q&A and discussion about the plenary speaker programs that you've just heard, we don't need to host the Problem of the Day. But if there are any of you who think, well, this was wonderful, I'll follow up the slides afterward, and I'd really like to talk about my issue, why we would be happy to open that Problem of the Day. And as I say, Wendy Zenker, who's a very experienced person, would be facilitating that discussion. Again, it's just a facilitated Q&A. Could I have a quick, a lot of you, I can't see your faces, but I guess I'll ask, first of all, are there people who would like to go into a Problem of the Day? I'm not seeing anybody right offhand. Is there anybody who can speak up that they really, really would like that?
I'm just checking the chat and I don't see anything there, and I don't see any raised hand reactions.
Is it safe to assume then that we really want Q&A with our wonderful speakers and everybody would like to participate in it?
I think that's a good assumption.
Okay, all right. That assumption is now in effect. So I will open this up to a Q&A, and I will have Elizabeth, if she's able, and Carolyn to help me monitor the chat or the questions. And please go to the bottom of your Zoom screen and find your hand raising opportunity there. And let's please follow up and ask more questions of our wonderful speakers about their programs. Who has a question?
Hi, this is Lynette Siervo from PCD. I have to mute this because I have workers outside and 3 dogs in here going crazy. So I apologize. I don't think I understood how, Janine, how we access arts programs for the arts for the aging.
So
It sounds wonderful and something I'd like to publicize. We do have people in the Encore program in our village, and they are, I just hear they're so happy with that, but I'd love to promote more about arts for the aging and how we can access that in Potomac.
Yeah, so the open opportunity at the moment is if there's anybody interested in improvisational dance to connect. We put a link in the chat to connect with the co-director of Quicksilver. And otherwise, we would want to have conversations about what a partnership could look like and what your needs are. It's pretty bespoke, I would say. There's not really a one size fits all. And because our programming docket is pretty full this year, we would want to talk about, we would have to put some plans in place and talk about resources that you may have to start these programs, or where you might need us to help train and collaborate. We offer creative aging consultancies. We can consult on what a good path might be for you. So I think probably it would involve some additional conversations, and I would engage our program director. Sarah House, sorry she couldn't be here today, but we would engage in deeper conversations to find a little bit more out about your community, what you're looking for, how often you're looking for something, what the resources are that you might have, and where we might be able to come in and either support or talk about a timeline that might be realistic for us to collaborate together.
Could I just
that helps.
To ask as a clarifying point, you mentioned several times your leave behind resources. Now, will you be giving digital copies of those resources to WAVE to?
Yeah, we have them already.
Okay,
so we'll post
excellent.
that on the website along with the recording. And I guess I have a follow-up question to Lynette's question that's similar. Is speaking for our village and probably many others on the call, we don't have enough possible participants to be able to likely to start up a program with Arts for the Aging individually. But I'm sure there would be interest if villages were all doing something together, or there was an opportunity that was created, especially for villages in a certain geographic area or whatever, to be able to do things together. So is that something that you'd be able to speak to, Janine?
I love the idea of that. And I think because we're doing virtual programs, there's some potential there. And I love the idea of villages coming together in one program. We've started to offer our clients that we currently work with the opportunity to join us regularly for virtual programs. So we're trying to build a virtual community and to connect all of the 66 client locations that we work with in the region, trying to bring some of them together across, county and state lines to collaborate together. So I love that idea, Elizabeth, and would be delighted to talk more, maybe getting some WAVE leadership together and, what could we come up with together? I love it.
Okay, wonderful. There are several comments in the chat talking about village members from various villages that are already participating in Encore and loving it. Thank you too to Encore. And then there's a great question from Alex Smith. Are there arts, and this would be to both groups, are there arts programs that are appropriate for people with mid to late stage dementia? And I would even add also early stage, many villages have members dealing with that.
So I can just jump in and address that quickly. So we have in our Arts for Life kind of division at Encore, we have both Sentimental Journey Singers and our Melody Makers program. Sentimental Journey Singers is more of a structured kind of rehearsal process, similar to our Chorale and Rocks programs, but they sing in duets with their care partners, and then they have a performance at the end of the semester. That's for early to mid-stage cognitive change. They perform a smaller set of music, mostly familiar songs, and then rehearse for that same 15 weeks. We also have our Melody Makers programs, and those are for more mid to moderate stage, and those are, we call them our musical experiences programs. Those are 10 weeks, and instead of being 90 minutes per week, they're 60 minutes per week. And those typically incorporate some sort of musical movement games as well. So it's more of an experience program than our SGS, which is more of a rehearsal program.
And then just broadly speaking, our audiences and our programs are designed for to be inclusive of people that are independent, ambulatory, but then also have mild to moderate stages of cognitive conditioning or cognitive conditions. So mid to late, maybe a little bit less so in the late stages phase, although we do see people in nursing homes that are maybe in more mid to late stage dementia. We're trying to intervene before that stage and to try to help reduce and mitigate risk factors that drive the need for long-term care. So that's more of our sweet spot.
Great, thank you.
Other questions or comments? Well, I want to follow up on something that was just mentioned about bringing villages together. And I guess what I would just like to say is that, Elizabeth, I think WAVE should follow up with both of these organizations and see how we can facilitate villages' participation in this. I don't think we start with any preconceived ideas of exactly what it would be. Maybe if it's better to have some geographic, we would help villages in some area or county, get together. But I think that we should definitely look into that. It would be very
Definitely. And I am putting, you can, if you're a village on the call, you can email the WAVE email address if you have interest in this, but I'm also putting my email address in there, and then we can follow up.
Right, absolutely. Other thoughts? Well, I want to ask a question then of the people who are on here. So get your hand app ready or be ready to wave. I'm just curious, how many people on this Zoom session right now have ever, let's start with the musical side. How many of you in your younger years or still have participated in musical activities in one way or the other, whether it's choral, whether it's an instrument, whatever? Raise your hand if you've done anything in the music sphere in your past life. Okay, that's an awful lot, right? That's an awful lot. So that just really confirms the extent to which music may be an untapped, underappreciated activity for villages. Okay, now let's do the same thing for non-musical arts. How many of you have ever, danced or painted or drawn or sculpted or thrown a pot somewhere? How many hands do we have there? Well, maybe not quite as many, but pretty many. So again, I think
it's more.
Oh, it is more. I can't see that many hands. Okay. Well, I'm sorry. We musicians are gonna, have to beef up our act here. Well, I think it tells WAVE too that this is something that we should be pursuing. And, just to, again, throw this out as one idea. One of the things that WAVE can do is, collect resources, perhaps package them, send them out, to all of our listserv, and encourage people to take advantage of certain resources. So that's one of the very simplest things that I know we can do. Okay, anyone else from another area?
Mary Jo, can I add something? I was thinking that how many professional artists do you have in your villages across the region? You must have some. And maybe there's an opportunity to train up a workforce of artists in residence of villages with us so that you can implement the programs yourself. So it's just another idea. You got to have, I know you must have professional artists in your cohorts, in your catchment areas. I think that's what you call them.
Well, one of our board members, Doug Gaddis, who leads the Silver Spring Village, is a professional singer. And I have nudged him several times about this, about how can we take advantage. So I wish he were on so that he could hear you talking about the need for these people to step up. So maybe we can get him engaged. I've never heard him sing, but something about him tells me that he's probably a very charming singer. So we'll, okay, everybody, Seal and Elizabeth and all of our board members, our next board meeting, we're all going to jump on him, right? Oh, Seal, you have your hand raised?
Well, all I wanted to say was I love this idea, and I love thinking about how we can engage some of our artists. Some of our what we have done is at times celebrated. I'm remembering an anniversary event that we held about 4 years ago. We used to do a theme, and one of them one year was celebrating the artists among us. And we opened up that definition, and we had you know, a lot of different artists in the group. And we had about 15 who displayed their products of their work. So that was really exciting. It wasn't instructional. It was just more of a look what we have together. Look what our talent, you know, the talent we have in our group. It was sort of a showing off our members. One year we did, you know, the poets and the writers among us. Another, you know, we've just done different focuses, but I really love the idea of something more more proactive and participatory. And I'm really, as I've been listening to both of you or all of you talk about this, I'm really, the wheels are turning on ways that we can try to pull some of our shyer artists and creatives out of the woodwork a little bit. I love the discussion. Thank you.
Other comments? Well, I had another thought. I'm going to keep jumping in because I just love this. I would like your two organizations to keep October 15th, to put that on your calendars. That is our in-person conference. And I think we're going to feature you some way or another. Absolutely. Because I think that that'll be a good way to spread the word. It will be in person, and we'll have certain sessions that are broadcast. And I think it would be great if Encore let us sing along, and if Arts for the Aging let a paint in, if that's what you call it, or something, you know, a room with all the papers and materials. But I'm really dead serious about that. Let's just think about that a little bit. WAVE has the conference is intended to be just one day, like about 9 to 4 or something. But each year we talk about, gee, are we ready to do something overnight? You know, should we start one afternoon and extend it into the next day? Because that way you have more time for networking. And with Zoom so prevalent, the real in-person networking time has been, you know, greatly diminished. So I'm talking to Wendy here now. I think we should put on the board to at least discuss the possibility of an overnight time when we could have some of this type of activity, participatory activity. And just throwing that out. TBD. Other thoughts? Has any village ever tried to locate or identify any secret singers or hidden artists? Okay.
You know, we tried, sorry, I'm jumping in again. Apologies. We met with an arts group here about 5 years ago. I had a little brainstorming meeting to think about how we could do a coming together and an art class or something like that. We had this sticky situation, which I think is, I mean, not all communities have this problem, but finding meeting space that was that didn't require a charge. So we just couldn't get past finding a good space, a good regular space. But I feel like we can overcome that obstacle and we can make this happen. I love the idea of it. We have had a couple of times we have had featured artists come and do a workshop in our conference room where we could only have about 8 participants, but do show how to do stencil art or that sort of thing. So we've had a few one-offs where we feature a member who has those skills and is willing to share.
I want to ask Frank to speak up. Frank, last year you told WAVE about, you submitted information about, was it a monthly or weekly concert that you provided? Again, so that's not necessarily the members participating themselves, but that was the first that I had heard of villages really focusing on musical events. So Frank, you want to say a little bit about that?
Sure. You want to know about the venue? Is that it?
Well, whatever you did, remember you said
Oh,
you had,
sure.
music.
So we have a summer concert series. It's actually from the fall, late spring through the fall, but we call it the summer concert series. And we partner with local organizations, mostly the Omni Hotel, which has a lovely garden, and 2 neighborhood nature conservancies, as well as a large apartment complex that has a big open space. And those are our venues. And then we go to various musical organizations. Sometimes we have to pay. Sometimes people give the gift of their music for free. And then we use grant funding to support those if we need to. But we also do a mailing to all of our everyone 16 over in our catchment area, offering yet another free program. We're really big on that as an incentive. We want to be seen as more than an exclusive membership organization. We want to provide something free to the community, build the community, and reduce social isolation. So we try to make it an intergenerational activity as well. So we go to a digital campaign to get the families involved because they tend to pay attention to that. But we use postcard mailings to get to the older adults. And it's really the only thing that we do is just have a good time. And I use the intermission a little bit to talk about, of course, the village and what's coming up next, and how various members, have benefited from the village and how we have power in numbers. So join us. We're glad they're there, but become a volunteer or become a member and help us be stronger. So it's been very popular. I think we're on our 4th year this year. And we started as a result of the pandemic when we needed to do something outside. And so we've preserved that, but we always have a rain date or a backup place like this weekend that we're going to need.
There is a sort of related question in the chat, and then I see that Palisades Village has their hand raised, so we'll go to them after. One thing that Frank mentioned that where a light bulb went off for me is that these may be things where villages can get grant funding to be able to start. And the question in the chat is, what are the costs for villages to be able to participate with the Encore or Arts for the Aging programs?
So here to collaborating on potential funding opportunities. We are also a grants-driven organization, and we'll be glad to collaborate. We're not incorporated in the district, so we don't go after grants from the DC Commission on the Arts and Humanities. There might be some money there if there are WAVE groups that have capacity to collaborate on grant writing. So that's a potential there. Oh, and then in terms of costs, it really varies. In the Leave Behind package that you'll all receive, I think you will see a page, and it, for example, it tells you that a 1-hour workshop with us to cover all of our costs is typically $300, and this would be for an organization, not an individual. This would be for a client organization. But again, we have trainings. All the pricing is different. It's very customized. So we would put a proposal together. But just to give you a sense of what a workshop to cover the costs, the training of the teaching artist, planning, preparation, program evaluation, all of it's wrapped in there. Thank you.
I'll give a quick overview. With Encore, I'll let Emma talk about the specific price of each one, but we believe at Encore we're committed to making the arts and our programming accessible and affordable for all who seek it. So we have a scholarship program for pretty much our fall season in Encore Chorale, Rocks, as well as our spring and summer seasons. All of those you can apply for financial aid to be able to sing those 15 weeks with music, with a professional conductor, and a performance after for free.
But is there a charge though for those who don't seek subsidies? I mean, what would
Emma, you mind go ahead, and that's why I was going to move over to Emma.
Yeah, sure. So our programs for those 15-week costs are $190. It does depend on the specific location. We do have some that are fully funded by grants or by different organizations. All of our Arts for Life programs are completely free for care partners and participants and the volunteers. We have a program at the Hayes Wellness Center, which is in partnership with Howard University, and that program is also free. Certain programs, whether they're funded either impartially or fully by different arts organizations or by, for example, we have a partnership with Arlington, and the funding goes through their Parks and Recreation Department. So there are different avenues, and we are always we are both a grant funded and an individual an individually funded organization. So we also, in terms of our scholarships too, I do also want to mention that those are all made available. And I believe with our current funding, we've actually been able to grant full scholarships to all who have applied within the past year, which is something that we're very, very, very grateful for.
Wonderful.
I wanted to add
Thank
one
you.
thing before we go on to the next person is that, we talk about, villages are looking for grants. We have a very successful Zoom program telling villages about how to look at other types of partnerships other than grants. Grants come with, a lot of heavy burdens and requirements and overhead, but you may have an entity in your community that would be very happy to co-sponsor this with a lot less paperwork involved. So it could be for the venue or who knows what, but again, don't think only of grants. Erica Blanton, you were next.
Sure. I just wanted to talk a little bit about the Community Sing program that we have in our area. There's a local volunteer who wanted people to get together and sing. And she was able to bring together some really fabulous, talented pianists, accompanists. And so they were doing a monthly program in the church where we have our office. And we partnered with them so that they, using grant funding, because the costs were to pay the accompanist, that she donated her time. So that was really great. We've had mixed results with arts programming, and we're about to embark on more in the coming future, coming off an art show that we had last weekend. But the participation wasn't as great as we thought, and people were intimidated, I believe. And I'm not an artist, and I can't do something. So we're going to try a different angle of trying to get people out in things that they don't perceive as art per se, not fine art.
May I speak to
I'll
that?
report back as to how that goes.
Yes, Janine.
Yeah, I appreciate that you said that, Erica, because when we had a conversation with Montgomery County Health and Human Services about this Creative Connections project, where we're looking for some additional sites to fulfill these ARPA funds that we got, we talked about the fact that people self-select out of the arts. They find it intimidating. People, not everybody identifies with being an artist, of course, and it can feel intimidating. And so when we came up with the name Creative Connections Project, we decided we would take the word arts out of it so that people could feel more connected. Everybody has a sense of creativity inside of themselves. At least we believe that. Maybe it doesn't feel like artistic creativity. So it could be a marketing challenge, or it could be as simple as just a marketing shift. That would be my hope. But we talk about that a lot too. And we get it a lot in our programs. Oh, I can't do this. I'm not a dancer. I can't sing. And our teaching artists, my famous story of one of our teaching artists working in a dance program and trying to choreograph moves that she was asking people to share after inspiring them with a poem, show a movement that helps me know that you feel this poem. And somebody shook their head no. They didn't want to do it. Well, she just took the shaking of the head no and made it part of the choreography. So our teaching artists are really skilled at including people, even people that feel like maybe I want to be on the outside of the circle a little bit. They'll bring them all in.
We did get some new people for our tap dance class, though. That was sort of, people who had never done it before. And then people who had done it, loved it as when they were younger, and were really thrilled to come back. So
brava.
Anything else coming up? Okay, well, I just want to then put up my slide, so I'll give you some information here. Am I sharing now?
Not yet.
Oh, shoot. Well, then I'll just give it to you. How's that? If you go to our website and you look up at the top under Wave Programs, and then you scroll down under that top nav bar, and you'll see Archive of Wave Events. And that's where you'll find the video, the slides, these materials that are going to be left for us, so that you can follow up afterward. Thank you so much to our speakers. Thank you again to Elizabeth Hale for organizing this, and Eva Lucero, and to all you who participated. Don't hesitate to reach out to me, president@wavevillages.org. It's pretty easy. I'm especially happy to work with you on this subject. So thank you again, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Very good.